You know, I was here 32 years ago as a volunteer in the kibbutz in Stene Chamir, very close to Kiryat Shmona. And if, if you would ask me, so what are you doing in the future? Are you talking maybe on the big conference, the Green Building Council in 2014? I had no idea. Because in the past, the future was different. Because we have no idea what the future is. And if you don't have any idea what the future is, just take an option and not more. And this is the Green Building Council conference. So I said, okay, this is about green buildings. So I'm an architect. Maybe it's a good idea not to talk about buildings. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about not about green buildings, but let's talk about the fact that we need platforms for innovation, because a green building is a manifest of old mistakes. And we need a platform for new mistakes. And now I'm here for 3 days and everybody said, yeah, you know, we're a little bit behind the whole green movement. In Europe, you're much further. This is nonsense. If you want to make the old mistakes, of course, you're behind. But if you just jump and do the new mistakes, you're on the front. So take the chance. So let's talk about that. So we have a lot of loves. These are my old loves, waste and energy, because we won't have waste in the future. It's impossible. And energy, we have enough. We have more than enough. We have so much renewable energy, it's impossible to use it every day. But we developed the wrong business models, and that's why we have an energy problem. But in fact, we just have an energy demand. And I tell you, everything has to change. If you think, oh, it's just a trick, and we do it a little bit different, and we make it a little bit green, and then we have all those sustainable condoms. I think you know, you call it labels. I call it sustainable condoms. Then you feel safe. But it's not. And we just heard a great politician, and this is another one. He had very special hobbies, but we don't talk about his hobbies because I don't have so much time. So, but he said something 12 September 1962, so 52 years ago. He said something very important. He said, ladies and gentlemen, we do something because it's difficult, not because it's easy. Unbelievable, eh? And he said, I don't know if we have the budget. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if they have the technique. I don't know if we have the people. I don't know how to get there. I know one thing, we go to the moon. Guided by the future. So if you don't know where you want to go, please don't move. Because then you're going for sure, you're going in the wrong direction. If it was not your plan to be here in this morning at 10:30, you won't be here. So you organized everything in the past to be here on time. So let's talk about what is the future. And you know it better, maybe, than everybody else in the world. Everything what is possible can become reality. So we have to calculate with that. And this time the Russians, they heard the speech of Kennedy. So they were asking, so who wants to go to the moon? No one wants to go, so they sent the dog. But the Americans, they sent some people. And in 1968, William Anders, he was just up there, and he looked out of the window, and he was completely surprised. He saw that picture. He took the black and white camera. So this is the first picture which is taken by a human being in the humankind history from planet Earth, where you and me, we are the guests. That's it. So sustainability is not about green buildings and all those condoms. Sustainability is about the attitude towards everything what makes our life possible here on planet Earth. And what you see, that's it. It won't be more in the future. But we do our very best to make it less and less in the future. Because we have the wrong models. Because if we realize that planet Earth is a closed system, and it is, because if we would have a conference maybe 10 kilometers above, it was impossible. It would be very cold. We need no air conditioning, but maybe it's too cold. So the planet is a very vulnerable, fragile being, and it's a closed system. And unlimited growth in a closed system is impossible. But look how we do it. So what we do is we have those companies. There's a very small company. It's a family company. Maybe you ever heard about it. We call it Shell. And they're economizing the ecology. They're digging those things in the ground, holes that they pump up, the black soup. That, oh, $5 billion benefit. How comes? 2 for you, 2 for me, 1 for the rest. So they capitalize a value from the ecology. So they take something away which will never come back. I think we have to ecologize the economy to see when is too big, when is too small, when are things out of balance. Because one thing is very clear, nature is always right. So William Anders, by the way, the first photo I show you, it's done on Christmas night, 1968. He phoned Houston, said, oh, Houston, we have a problem. So they were the first one with a real problem. And then he said, you know what, take the next camera and make a next photo. So this is the first legal photo from planet Earth. The first one was an illegal photo. And what you see, it's beautiful. But what happens, now we are in a closed system where we have growing demands. So how can we organize growing demands in a closed system? And what is typical for a closed system, we have finite resources. Everything what is physical in a closed system is limited. So we have to organize everything in a way, and having in mind that it is limited. But just look outside, how we do the buildings, how we create our environment. We think it's unlimited, and that's why it's going wrong. So we need new business models to organize in a different way, not new labels, at my perspective. So you see what happens that we call it the linear economy, because the most primitive thinking of a human being is that he's able to think from A to B. And it's unbelievable that we're organizing the most complex thing on Earth, we organize it from A to B. Because then we're creating a problem. This is from A to B. So we start with the raw materials, production, we make a product, we use it, we throw it away, and then we take something else. But now we learn here limited resources. So this business model won't work in the future, for sure. We have to change something. So we talked about the family company Shell here on the left side. And then we have the new shells. They're very clever. They stay on the right side. Let's go there. Here we have, they call them the recycling companies. The recycling companies are the shells on the right side. We think they do good things, but they say, you know what, just give me the waste. Waste is food. I will capitalize what you paid already. So I'm becoming very rich because I take the values you paid for. That's what they do here. And I will tell you later how the business model works on the right side. Because they're participating in the fact that it's a linear model. So I think We have to change. Because what the recycling companies are doing, if it's too expensive to recycle the stuff, regularly they go to 68%. They say, you know what, now it's becoming too expensive. So we don't make any benefit anymore. You know what, just put it in the resources incinerator. Let's get rid of it. Because it's too expensive. Then we have the resources incinerator. That means we are burning something which is limited. So we are burning something to make electricity. In Holland we call it thermal recycling. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable that we are losing something forever, because I think it's a crematory for raw materials. It's over. It's done. If we have a closed system, it's not really true, because some things we have in abundance. Energy, we have a kind of a nuclear bomb up there. It's drying for 3 million years. And we just found maybe another million years, so no problem. And then we have data. This is the only stuff which is becoming more and more and more in the future. That's why everybody's fighting for the data. Because the data is the mental, is the raw material for the mental revolution. But let's say, how comes? What's the way we consume? You see on the left side, you will see a telephone, a T65, and if you look very clearly, you see, oh, this is not true. This is not original, because the cable doesn't exist in 1953, this spiral cable. That's true. Because my grandfather, he fixed it. And he fixed it several times, and he fixed it for 30 years. And then he would come up and he said to my grandmother, Hannah, I'm very sorry, but it's really impossible to fix any more the telephone. I'm very sorry, but I think we have to buy a new one. And now, iPhone 3, 4, 4G, 4S, 5, 5G. And you know what? We just heard about something, the fantastic presentation of Michael, like an Apple presentation. I have the new iPhone 6. It's a premiere. Maybe where's the camera? Here. This is the new iPhone 6. It's an unbelievable performance. I tell you, it's a great thing. So some of you are getting nervous. How comes Rao has the 6, I don't have the 5? What's about the Apple Store? Maybe something wrong with the email. I have to call the provider. So you're really getting nervous. But why are you becoming nervous? Because because of all the innovations, we are not interested anymore in the life cycle. We don't care. We make life cycle analysis. For what? This is the old economy. These are the old mistakes. So we have a life cycle, but we are not interested in the life cycle. Who is buying the iPhone 5 because the 4 doesn't work anymore? No one. You hear from your friend or from your neighbor, yeah, it's very nice, you can put some more apps on it, it's lighter, it feels better. You know, all these stories to find an argument to get the new one, not because it's broken. So the performance cycle is very important. And if we organize it like in linear model, then you can see we're creating more and more waste because of innovation. Then we have these products, very special products, maybe you know them. You just bought a printer, you problem with the printer, you go back to the shop and say, yeah, oh yeah, Mr. O, oh yeah, 1 year ago, I remember, you bought the printer 1 year ago. I just checked it, but yeah, you know, it's better to buy a new one. Makes no sense to fix it. That means, new means it's not broken yet. New doesn't exist. Because new is a business model, new means it's not yet broken. Because they know exactly when it has to be a problem for you. So because of those products and innovation, we are creating more and more waste in the old system. So as an architecture office, we said, you know what, we have to work on that. We have to create the right questions. Because always we have the wrong questions. And then we try to give the very best answer on the wrong question, and the very best answer on the wrong question is a wrong answer. So let's try to find the right question. So we have to organize everything in a different way. We have to realize that the relation between the production companies and the consumer has to change. Because the consumer wants to be a user. A product wants to be a service. And that means everything has to change. And I will tell you some steps to get there. So this is the first one. It's a tough one, huh? Forget ownership, focus on performance. Because you're so really in love with all the stuff you have. Because you think that you can define your identity through everything you have. But at least you know it's not. And you know it because if you, let's say you decide to go next weekend to New York, you don't search on the website from Airbus of Boeing just to see how much is a plane, how much does it cost. No. You know, this is much too complicated for me to buy a plane. You know what? I buy the performance. I buy the flight. I have no idea if the captain is on time, if the stewardess is on time, there's enough kerosene, whatever. Because you know it's too complicated, you don't want to have the ownership. But mostly, everything is very complicated to have the ownership. Because you think you have a television. I tell you, you have a kind of periodical system, it's packed in a poison bomb, and you call it TV. And then you are the owner of all the chemical stuff in that thing. You have no idea. So you're not aware that you have the responsibility for that. So the future is, in my perspective, you don't want to have a lamp. You want to have light. You don't want to have a plane. You want to have a flight. You don't want to have a car. You want to have mobility. You don't want to have a washing machine. You want to have washes. You don't want to have a chair. You just want to sit. Because if you are the owner, you block innovation. Then you really have to sit on that thing maybe for 20 years. And you don't want that. So if you take everything service-based, you can participate on all the innovation in the future. If you're an owner, you have a problem. And you know what? There is the very, very first tender, which is sent in the world thousands of years ago, and you know it, was performance-based. So you know it. It's Genesis 1. It shall be light. So he didn't order a lamp. He ordered light. So the first tender was performance-based. So let's go back to the future. So you see, it can be very easy. So we have to forget, this is Dutch. This is Dutch, and it means van eigendom naar eigen slim. So it means it's very stupid to be the owner of something. So we have to organize it much more intelligent. So what is the next step? So if the product is becoming a service, and you're not a consumer, you're a user, and you don't like the product anymore, you don't like the service anymore, the product is coming back to the producer. Because the producer is still the owner of the material. Because the new pricing means you pay for the performance and not for the stuff. So then it's the incentive of the producer to make the product in a way that it's a raw material depot. Because in the new economy, everybody will be confronted with the consequences of his own acting. So if Philips realize, I get this lamp back over 5 years, so maybe then it's a good idea to make it in a different way, because I'm not paid for the raw material, they just pay for the performance. I get it back, let us say, over 7 years. So I want to disassemble the lamp in a way that I get back all the raw materials. Because every product is, in fact, if we are aware or not, a raw material depot. But mostly, we can't disassemble the depot. That's why we throw it away. And for the building, maybe it's really quite new, but for the car industry, it's not. They know exactly what kind of screw in this car, what kind of material, what it is for. If they don't know it, it's not in the car. And you know, we are here in a wonderful building, and I think it's very easy to take maybe, let us say, 30 tons of material we can take out of that building and nothing will happen. And nobody will realize. Because this building is a business model. It's a business model to sell stuff. And it's not a raw material depot. That's the difference. And then we thought about it, so what happens that a raw material is becoming waste? You know, you have this strange television, now you realize I have a poison bomb at home. So everybody has a bomb now. And you throw it out of the window. Say, oh, you know what, just get rid of that television. So you throw it out of the window, it's on the street. Someone is coming along and said, oh, can you put away that stuff here? 2 seconds before, it was a television. 2 seconds later, it's waste. How comes? I think that waste is raw material without an identification. Because the recycling company, they don't do anything else than just say, okay, oh, this is, I think it's glass. Okay, then it's glass again. So they give waste an identification. Because waste has an identification, it's a raw material again. So then it's better to organize everything, that everything has a raw material passport. Every building has a raw material passport. We work on that. So every material has an identification, and there will be no waste in the future. This is a building. It's a transformation. It's an electricity company in Holland, 20,000 square meters. So we know exactly how much steel, how much wood, how much copper, how much lithium, whatever, is in the building. And then we can activate that value on the balance sheet. So everybody is much richer than he thinks if he is activating the value of the raw material if the building is a raw material depot. And then you can generate the money for all the other sustainable stuff in the building. Because this is mostly the problem, the money. But we can generate the money for what is necessary. It can be a building, it can be a small house like this for 6 million euros, 1,000 square meters. Of course, all the houses are energy neutral. No, energy positive. Because, of course, you know, the difference between neutral and positive is 1 kilowatt hour. So, every buildings are energy positive. And it doesn't cost you any more money. It's just a different process. This is the new headquarters of the most sustainable bank in the world, the Triodos Bank. So let's say to different segments, how you can do. This is our office. So I invited Philips, another small family company. Maybe you know them. And I asked him, you know what, just come to me. And I told him, you know what, I want to have light. 300 lux, 1,260 hours a year, that's it. If you think you have to hang up or install a lamp, okay, I'm fine. That's your problem. And if you need white wine or red wine or kerosene or electricity to give me light, I'm fine. The bill is for you, it's not for me. Because we go back to the plane. You arrive to New York, you go to the gate, and the stewardess is staying there. Okay, I just talked to the captain and we calculate the bill for the kerosene. Can I give you the bill for the kerosene? I said, kerosene? Wait a minute, I paid for the performance flight. So I think that you calculate the kerosene in the price. I don't pay it. And then you go to the Apple store. You want to buy the iPhone 6. Sold out. It's so small, eh? Sold out. You don't have to ask. But then you said, oh, just maybe I take an iPad. Do you know that no one ever in the world bought an iPad. It's impossible. The only thing you can buy is an organized conglomeration of raw materials. Because the iPad is then an iPad if you put electricity on. And now you can think about who is so unbelievable stupid and who is paying the energy for Apple so that Apple can deliver you the performance iPad. It's you. It's unbelievable. The energy bill belongs to the product. It's part of the service. I don't have any energy bill in my office. I don't need energy. Philips, they need energy. And it's then their incentive to make a lamp which saves energy very much. So this is a school. What you see here is we have walk hours, light hours, ceiling hours, sit hours, television hours, look through hours. Everything is performance based. If they don't like it, they give it back and they get a new one. This is the first refrigerator in Amsterdam which is delivered performance based. And then I was talking, we have refrigerators and washing machines. We do that with Bosch. And then Bosch was saying, okay, Mr. Rao, but what happens if there's a problem with the washing machine? I said, you have to fix it. The client is just paying for the performance. I said, oh, yeah. But then we really have a problem. Our business model is that we know after 3 years there has to be a problem with the water pump. After 5 years, the front door has to fall down. And after 6 years, you have to change the rubbers. But if we are responsible for the performance, you know what we have? It's true. We have a washing machine which is running for 15 years without a problem. But we never bring it on the market. Now, they bring it on the market. Because they don't want to be confronted with the consequences of their own decisions. Because we as a consumer are the stupid and we are paying for it. This is the first building in the world which is... Okay. There's a dog here, something maybe. Which is planned as a raw material depot. So the depreciation of this building is not from 100 to 0. The depreciation of this building is from 100 to 18. Because there is the rest value for material is 80% in that building. So you see, we can earn money. So what we have to do is, the resources are limited, so we make something, it doesn't matter how long or short term, not any more relevant for the new economy. If you use it for 5 years or 50 years, no negative effect on the environment. And then we keep the resources. The only two things we are investing here is energy, but we have energy enough, and human power. And you're sitting here quite relaxed. Tonight you go to your bed, you're tired, and then you expect that you awake tomorrow morning, you're fresh and full of energy. Did you ever think about the fact, how comes that 7 billion people are loaded up, tax-free, without a bill every night? So we have enough human power. And then we are so crazy that we have to pay tax for the human power. This is a project we asked by the airport company in Amsterdam. So they said, okay, if we take this vision, what does it mean to make an airport? Then an airport is becoming a machine. It's a docking station. So you see, everything is the other way around. And then the next step, and it's too much for today, but just to show you, in first case, the product is becoming a service. Next step, material is a service. So this is the chain, and what we do, we try to optimize on the right side. Sustainability means optimization of the wrong system. I'm sorry. You come for that here, but I have to say that because we always trying to optimizing there, but we have to go to the left side because economy is the organized relation between the planet and the human beings. And then if we talk about the human beings, I think we have 3 levels. If we look to the capital, the most physical one is money, second is communication, and the third one is love. So you can ask yourself, what kind of capital are you using every day? Then we have the human being, we have the body and the soul and the spirit. So we have 3 layers. And the transformation we have to focus has also 3 levels. It's the product level, very easy. Cradle to cradle, noodle to noodle, we just do it a little bit different. But then we have the market, okay, a little bit more uncomfortable, new business models, different kind of benefit, okay. But then the mental transformation, and this is the most important one. That's where we have to work on. Because things doesn't happen, not because it's not possible, it's because we have not the money, it's because we don't want it. So the biggest problem we have is between our ears. Oh, sorry. I have to go back. Okay. So nature is always right, and you can see there are countries like Bhutan, and I'm so happy that I'm advisor of the king in Bhutan. They say, money, you come with nothing, we go with nothing, so all the stuff in between, we don't need that. You can organize it, but we don't need it. So the economy of happiness. And what impressed me the most, that this king is going every morning because he's going to his palace. He's visiting a school in Thimphu, that's the main city of Bhutan. He's going in a class, and he's giving every child the hand, and he's saying, hey, nice that you're with us. Fantastic. And who's paid nearly the best in Bhutan? The teachers. If I look to Holland, it's a big mess. So you see, if we change the rule, if we change our mentality, then everything can change very quick. Because I think the 21st century is the century of the immaterial luxury, and the future is that we have to cherish the raw material. Or we can say, everything has to change. Everything we have to think upside down. And one of the very first inhabitants here in the last century, he did that. He said, thinking upside down. That's what we have to do. And if you do this every morning, I tell you, it helps. This is the new world map. We sent it to the United Nations, but we didn't hear anything. But anyhow, I think maybe this is a good idea to bring this in every classroom. Just to stimulate the people, everything has to go the other way around. And because we have no idea what the future is. So we just can take an option, but there is one sector who is able just to have a small look in the future. And this is art. If you look backwards in art, then you see always that something is going on. We say, okay, in 10 years it was in the economy, or that we have a problem in the society, or whatever. So maybe it's a good idea to look to the art today, so then we can have a feeling maybe, what can we expect in the future? So that's why I want to close my lecture. I'm quite in time. Let's have a look to a little bit art in the Museum of Modern Art in New York and see what happens. So if we have the sound, please. Thank you. This is Marina Abramovic. She's an artist. She was sitting there for 180 days on that chair, 8 hours a day, and she was the prophet. And all the people who were sitting there, they could see the eyes of the prophet. And you can sit there as long as you want. So the first place where you could meet the artificial prophet. And she's closing her eyes in between, and she has no idea who is coming next on that chair. So it's always a surprise for her. This is her ex-partner. He didn't meet him for years. Now he's sitting there. You see he's feeling very comfortable. Look to his legs. And now have a look how she looks when she sees him. So who is now the prophet? And who is the visitor? So I think we are not human beings on a spiritual journey, but we are spiritual beings on a human journey. So sustainability is about our attitude towards everything what makes life possible. Toda.